Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leibella Ralston. I am representing Faber-Castell USA. And together with Michael Stores, we are doing this creative class today. And we are going to be working with, of course, Faber-Castell supplies, which are the Faber-Castell, the Albrecht Durer watercolor markers. And so we'll be learning the simple way to create some loose florals. Now, I must admit that floral is really not my strength, but it is my goal this year to learn more. And with you guys, we're going to be learning together. It has been super fun researching about different type of florals. We already have our February classes also listed on Michael's website. So I believe we have some florals again next month. So if it is something that you would like to learn this year, I hope that you'll grow and learn with us here with Faber-Castell and Michael Stores. I'm super excited. We'll go through a little bit, we'll go through some of the supplies that we're going to be needing today. Now, the Albrecht Dürer watercolor markers, hence the name, these are watercolors in a marker form. These markers also comes with dual tip. It has a brush tip like this on the other end, and then on the other end we have the bullet tip. Now these markers, you can use them directly as markers as you would, coloring, writing, sketching, but you can, today the actual technique that we'll be doing is we're going to be needing an artist palette like this one, and we're going to apply the markers on top, and then we are going to dilute it with water, so it's kind of like working with some liquid watercolors. All right, and so I have some mixed media paper in here. You can also use, of course, watercolor papers. We'll be working with water, so anything, a paper that is thick enough to absorb the moisture of the water. All right, and so I also have different types of round brushes in here. I do have number 2s and number 4. I believe I have one number 6. Now, depending on how big your canvas or your paper is, I think a number 2 and a number 4 is large enough for that. And then a paper towel, clean bowl of water, and then we're good to go. But before we get started, I'd like to say hi to everyone that shared where they're from, a lot of snowy places. I am broadcasting live from here in Texas area, so it's really cold in here too. I just moved from Arkansas to Texas, so I'm still adapting to the weather. But so far, my arthritis is loving this warmer weather. I am enjoying it. My knees are thanking me for moving to Texas. So, anyways, guys, if you are excited, I am too. If you have any questions while we're doing the class, you can put them in the chat section down below, and then I'll try my hardest to answer your question, of course. So, hello, everyone. There are a lot of us in here today. So, I'm super excited. You can also share your thoughts while we're working, in the chat section to just interact. I think it's super fun. And that's why it's always nice to do these classes live because we have the interaction, engagement and all that. So, I really love it. Okay, so first of all, what I'd like to do first, I actually did a little bit of warm up, but because we'll be working with some round brushes like this, one thing I love to do is do a little bit of warm ups because, when you're using round brushes like this, round brushes are really a fabulous tool, but it can be a little tricky at times. So I like to warm up with doing some florals. Now, it is tricky at a point because it depends on how heavy you are your hands when working with the brushes. I know I personally have heavy hands, so I struggle with this at times, and that's why I like to do a little bit of warm-ups. Now, I'd like to show you a little bit first how the Albrecht Dürer watercolor markers work before our warm-ups. So as I said, there's dual tips in here. You can use them and apply them directly like this in your paper. Let me zoom it in real quick so we can have a little bit better view like this. So you can apply it and then you can blend it with water. I'm just going to dip in here and I'll show you. So these are high quality pigments and these are light fast as well. Oh my goodness. The dogs are starting a howl next door, and my dog is here with me. So send some love to Winston. Winston, be kind. Right. So we're just blending all of that. See how beautiful the colors are, so rich. Now, with any watercolors, remember the more water you use with them, the lighter the colors are going to be. Of course, the more concentrated the pigments are, the richer the color is, the more water, the less saturation. And also, watercolors are naturally like that. When it's wet, you see the colors really vibrant, the colors really pop, but as they dry, the colors are going to be translucent because that is what watercolors are. They are transparent or translucent. See how gorgeous the blends are? They're so beautiful. I love it. And then the colors that I'll be using, I'll show you my palette. The flower that we're going to be painting today is called the Agapanthus flowers. Now, these are originally from South Africa. I'm going to share some of my research because it's been fun learning about this type of flower. It is also known as an African lily or lily of the Nile. They're so beautiful. It's like these clusters of flowers, actually. They can grow up to 4 feet tall. So basically, the base is like the flower, the leaves exactly are like straps. So they're very pointy and long, but the flowers itself, the stalk can grow up to 4 feet. And then the flowers on top are like clusters or like clumps of florals, which are so beautiful. They can be colors like lavender, they can be blue, and sometimes they're even white. So there you go. Those are the things that I have learned regarding this flower. And so our color palette, we have some blues in here. The Indanthrene blue is what I'll be working with, this one. And then we have the purple violet, like this. I wanted the dark phthalo green also, but if you have other types of green, I also pulled out the May green. I might actually use the May green instead, like that. So if you have blues, purples, that's what we're going to be using, okay? Are we having trouble with the volume? Hold on, let me see. I don't know why. We never have this issue with the mic. Let me see. I'll make sure I turn up. Here we go. Is this much better? Is everything sounds good? All right. Okay, good. All right. I turned it up just a little bit, the gain, so it'll be a little bit louder. And it's much easier for me also to not put my mouth in the microphone. There we go. All right, so color palette, everything's good. We have our artist palette in here. Okay, so for the warm-ups, I want us to work and create some leaves first. Leaves are my perfect go-to when I am doing some warm-ups because it is the amount of pressure that I am practicing, especially with the round brush. When you want to create some thin strokes, you want to focus using the tip of your brush pen. I mean, not brush pen, but your brush right here. And then to create a thicker stroke, we're going to be using the body of the pen. So here it is. I'm going to zoom it in. So draw some leaves. I mean, we've all been drawing leaves. Tip of the pen to start and bending it like that. And then snapping and using the tip again to create a thinner stroke. Like that. Again, I'm going to do the other side of the leaf. Focus on the tip. Apply some pressure. Pressure, pressure. Now snapping and using the tip easily, just letting go. Just like that. All right. And then I'll do it again. Sometimes I like to work with the middle part, so I know it helps me with the direction of my leaves. Instead of drawing the leaves I start with the middle just to kind of follow the direction where I want the leaves to go, and then fill it up. See, this is a lot of pressure that I'm applying, and then easily easing up, and then using the tip to create a thinner stroke. All right. I'll start just like this. So these are great warm-ups because really I'm learning how to let go and just be light like that, using the tip, knowing when to apply the pressure, and then easily using the tip again to create that very thin stroke. All right, because this is what the technique that we're going to use to create the petals. Basically, we're going to create a lot of clusters, a lot of petals of the Agapanthus. And then the bottom part of our paper, we're going to cover it up with like strap looking leaves that goes all over the place to create that. Here we go. So are we good with our warm-ups? I'm so sorry, Janet. I think Janet is having some audio issue. All right, thank you guys for letting us know that it's not on my end. So a little bit more, just trying to loosen up my hands. And when you're doing this, the more you do warm-ups like this, you're also building a muscle memory like that. It's kind of like you already know when to apply the pressure and when to ease up and then lighten on the pressure. I have heavy hands, like super heavy hands. So it's like I always struggle with doing the thin strokes. Okay, so I'm using a really large notebook in here. I think this is a 9 by 12, like this. But I think it's going to be perfect because the Agapanthus is like really, they grow really tall. So I want all the clusters focus here on the side, on the top left maybe, and a little bit here in the middle. And then I want to create a little bit of quote, brush lettering on this side, and then we can start adding just our leaves going all over the place. Okay, so I'm gonna take this out. Here we go. All right. I'm going to go, now I'm going to prepare my palette first. So I'm going to start with the Indanthrene blue. So this is the blues. And then also I will use later on some of the purple violet. But we're going to create a wash, which is a very light layer first. This is going to be our first layer. So I'm just going to apply the Indanthrene blue in my plastic art palette. This is one of those inexpensive palettes. And I'm going to get some water, put some drops in there. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to use my number 4, I apologize, number 4 brush. The name of the brand of the markers, it is the Faber-Castell, the Albrecht Durer watercolor markers. This one. And then I'm just going to blend in everything. So this is like a liquid watercolor right here, like that. But again, remember, the more water you use, the less saturation, the less rich in colors you're going to get. But since we want a first wash, really light color, I added a lot of water in there. Now for the clusters of water, to prepare and to plan what we want here, you can actually use some pencil and draw some circles if you'd like. And this will help you really plan out the flowers, the position, where it's going to be at, especially if you're still, thinking, okay, how do I want the layout to be? And it always helps to have the circles around if that would help you. And since I think I have it already in my head that I want one over here, one over there, and another one over here. So we're going to create 3 clusters. And then the size of the petals, I'm going to show you real quick so you have an idea before you start painting. And see here, I'm just adding like that. just a regular petal. Another one. 3. And here, I'll start small. Another one. And another. That's going to be the size. And so I will play around with the size of the petals or of the flowers also. Some will be much smaller than this. Some are maybe a little bit larger, but basically this is what we have. Hold on. See this. Okay. There, we can zoom it in. All right, I'll keep adding my clusters. And what you want, the idea in here is to have a natural highlight in the middle. See, the petals are not so close together, but the key is for it to look organic. You don't want it to look similar all the time. Basically, you want some petals that are also close together. And the more I do it, we'll show you. No, Judith, I didn't draw the flowers. I mean the circles, but you can do that. Like what I was saying, you can actually draw the circles around it. Let me show. Sorry about that. Let me see if I have a paper in here. And I'm going to grab pencil. So what you want is you want to start with like this. Just a circle, and maybe draw another here where you can draw the clusters. Now you want to sketch very lightly so you don't have issues erasing these later. Now you can draw another one again here. So inside your circles is where you're going to create the clusters of your flowers. We'll start with 3 and we can see how it looks, and then we can probably add a little bit more. But for now, we'll start with this 3 one, okay? So that circle is a great way to kind of plan ahead where you want the florals to be. All right. Okay, so I'll start adding it. 1 petal. And remember, we're creating loose florals in here, so we're not aiming for perfection. It's kind of like an impressionistic painting as well. You know that there's petals, you know the directions of the flowers, so there's not going to be a whole lot of details for the first round of painting. Now, we want to leave also a little part in the middle because we're going to create those the green, it's almost part of there. It's not the stamen of the flower, but it's like the ones that are connecting the petals together. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3. So remember, just create those clusters in here. Play around with the size, with the direction of the petals. Look, it's kind of like looking for stars. I'm basically just adding strokes. Yes, Lana, this will be my final paper. Okay. And so I'll add one here, maybe play around with the direction. See, this one is like really facing all on the sides, just like that. It's not perfect, just a bunch of strokes that looks like petals. Got Some will have 6, some has 5, some has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let me zoom it in so you guys can see. There we go. See, it's just strokes. Isn't it so fun? And then I'll have one here, 2, another one, just like that. And like that one again, second, like that. This one's gonna look wonky, but you know what? We're gonna keep it there. Just like that. And let the brush do the work, okay? So just play around with the amount of pressure that you're applying. The more you apply pressure with your brush, the wider, the thicker the strokes are going to be. If you want smaller, you apply lighter pressure, like this one, smaller. So look, just like that. I feel like I want to add something in here. Something's missing, like that. Okay, now I'm going to move to my second cluster over here on the top. And see how much more pigments I have left. There's so much. I think I can cover the 3 clusters in here. Like that. Yes, and I think exactly, Darlene, your comment makes me happy because organically, it depends on the light also, depends on how we're looking at the petals. We see them, and then some are lighter, some are natural highlights from the sun when we see them out in the, nature for a walk, and they're just beautiful. I mean, they all look the same, but if you look at them closely, they all look the same, but from afar they look so different. They have different shades and hues, and just because of the natural highlights coming from the sun, from your light source. Oh, that's wonderful. I remember when I was just first learning how to create botanicals, I was so scared because I was trying to make everything look so perfect. And the more I tried to make it look perfect, the more I hated it. It's just like not looking great at all. But when I just started playing around with a brush and really, letting the brush do its work, I loved it even more. It looked more so organic, and it just looks more how I want them. I want to see them. All right. Maybe now that I live in a warmer weather, maybe I can see if I can grow some flowers. My family, the rest of my family are really great growing flowers, but we're from the Philippines, so we have a tropical country, and so it's easier. It's much easier to grow flowers where I was from. All right, so I think I'm going to need a little bit more. And so I'm just going to apply more of my marker just here. And then I will drop some water again. Just maybe a little bit more. And for this one, I can also add a little bit of the purple violet here. So I'll add some to have different shades. And this is the fun part of using watercolors, is that you can blend, you can create your own mix, So here, I'm not gonna thoroughly blend it. Some of it will still be blue, and a little bit has that purple. It's gorgeous. And I'll add another clusters. And this is another technique that you can add while your flowers are still wet. I'm going to show you. I will add a little bit more purple here to the side, okay, of my palette. And then I will drop some water to kind of mix it. And while some of the flowers here from the first clusters are still wet, I'm going to go in the middle part and just drop some some purple in there, like that. So anywhere I would like this part, some part of it are really still wet, so I can drop it there. Some are dry, that means I used less water in there. You can just add it there. And I'll do the same here. Now, if you have a heat tool, which I do, I can dry this much faster. But if I do that, I will not be able to do this wet on wet technique. And this is the fun part of watercolors, is that you can add layers and add some beautiful blends, and everything just kind of looks different in your eyes, the way it blends. Some you use a little bit more water, some you use less water, and that's why you make these beautiful. It just doesn't look the same each time. All right, so I'm going to add some Indanthrene blue, and I'm going to add my third cluster. All right. Add more water, and I'm going to let the two dry. And that's why I did this first, the second one, because to avoid some of the smudging. So now I'm going to go here on my third side, and I'm going to let the two clusters dry first while I'm working on this side. Now, if you are a lefty, I think it would be much better if you started with your right and then do the other side on the left. We're all different. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So I'll do my petals. Sometimes my first flower is always the biggest, because it's like, okay, Lay, loosen up. And it's like reminding myself, because I'm so heavy on the hands. And that's why it's kind of like very first ones are always slightly larger than the rest of them. The more I play, the more I get relaxed and just kind of like, okay, I'm easing up on that pressure. Yes, and they're going to dry less vibrant because they're watercolors. So it's beautiful seeing that process as well. You know, you see that it's really vibrant, darker blue, and then while it dries, you'll see it changing. You'll see it getting lighter, but it just adds to the beauty of it. Did you see that I added a little bit more purple violet in there? And I'm going to drop it while some of these are really still wet. So we can add some variation of colors in here. And they're going to look so beautiful. I'm going to add more clusters.
Hey, Lay, there was a question I think you might have missed. I wanted to go ahead and read it off to you.
Yes, please.
Darlene asked, is there an advantage to using the brushes for this picture instead of drawing with the markers?
The markers are going to be really vibrant now, and also you're not going to get that beautiful gradient of colors. And I will show you later. You can still create gradients if you blend with a water brush later on. But to me, the process, this is a much quicker process to create loose florals this way. But again, it's just, we're all different. And I'm going to create a cluster with the marker so you can see some flowers in here. So I can show you guys a difference. Now, when you create and draw with a marker, you're also losing a little bit of that looseness, same word, you know, that when you're using a brush like this, a very soft brush, you can create more variation of thin and thick of your strokes. Even when you're using the brush pen, and I'll show you a little bit, you're going to have to work at it a little bit extra or harder, because you're going to be drawing every shape. So you can make sure you're still creating a little bit of a loose shape like this, possibly. Can you see? And then I am still going to be using a round brush to blend some of it. See, you can do both, but the colors are not exactly the same. You know, there's going to be there's this, I don't know how to explain it. There's a difference of that saturation, the way also the water diluted some of the pigments. It just looks different, but nothing. One is not as great as the other. It's just personal preference. But yes, you can definitely use the markers directly and then blend it as well. Now, if you like a more saturated, more rich in colors, I think you're going to enjoy using the markers directly. But if you love that very loose, that watercolory effect, I think you're going to love this way of applying it in the palette first and then using a round brush or a water brush to create your beautiful stroke. So one is not better than the other. So it's just personal preference. So thank you for that question. All right. Sorry that I missed it. I'm trying also to look at the chat, but sometimes when there's a lot of conversation. So, of course, you're welcome. Yes. There. Oh, I love it because some of here I got a little bit of that purple. So I really like that. I'm going to go apply a bit more of that purple here. Oh, you hear that squeak? And drop more water. There we go. And then I feel like I want to add here some to the sides. Like that. And see how adding a little bit of that purple really did a lot here. See the changes where we added and dropped some of the purple there. So we have these variety of colors happening here, and they're all so beautiful. All right. And now I'm going to let this dry. But that's going to take forever. I have a little bit more of a darker colors in here, so I'm going to pick up just a little bit and then drop off some and some of my flowers, some of the purples. Maybe I want a little bit more blue in there. If you want areas that you want a little bit more of the purple, then you can do this and add more purple to those sides. There. I think I'm great. Okay. I have a baby wipes. I just clean my palette just like this one. Like that. Okay, so I'm going to use my heat gun and my heat tool to dry it to speed up our process. The second part is going to be adding a little bit of details in the flowers because right now they can end up looking like blobs, and yes, it's impressionistic art, but sometimes you want to add that detail to give you this layers and artistic character to each and every one of those flowers that we created. So I love this heat gun because it's not loud at all. But be careful when you're using this, or even a blow dryer, because it gets really hot. So just trying to hold it. And the problem with drying up your paper, it can warp at times. So that's why I'm holding it to let me see, holding the corner like this. But if you're using a watercolor paper and you taped it to your table, then you don't have to worry about the warp. I didn't, so I'm just holding my paper and kind of pulling against warping like that. Oh, the colors are so beautiful. We have the purples, we have the deeper blues. Who asked the question? Okay, so Nellie said, what I notice about the difference of using the pen versus the brush is that the pen tends to make it look realistic, and the brush gives it more of a true watercolor look, the impressionist. I agree. Yes, exactly. And that's what I love about using the loose florals, because it is forgiving. It truly is much forgiving. But again, if you use the marker directly, you can still make it look impressionistic if you use the round brush to kind of play around while you're blending it, play around with a stroke to create a more of a looser looser stroke is the term that I'm thinking. My brain isn't working as well as I would like. Okay, so for the details, this is when where and when we use our markers directly, because let me zoom in. We're going to add the stymon. So I know some of the strokes, you hardly will know where is the middle part of the flower. Now we're just going to use our imagination. This is where we use our imagination, and we're going to add some stymon or the middle part of the flower. So I'm going to use the bullet tip of the marker, the other end, the brush, and then you have the bullet tip. I think I'm going to use the bullet tip because it's going to be more forgiving, creating dots or circle round strokes in the middle. So now, for example, in this part, I'm not going to put it directly in the middle. I'm going to put it slightly above because we're going to add some lines in here later. So I'm just adding those. Sorry. So we're just going to add some dots like that. Just like that, okay? If you're using a brush and you don't have the marker, so just create some small dots. And this is when it's dry. You don't want to do this when your canvas or your paper is still wet, because when you add your strokes, your dots like this, and your paper is still wet, what's going to happen is just going to blend it. You're not going to create sharp details, right? So it's just going to blend. So you have to wait until it dry. And that is why I really had to dry the whole paper so I can add the details. It's like that. And some parts of it, I'm just trying to pretend that that's the middle part. Right, so here one. But when you add this time and these dots, it looks like that's the middle part. And that's what you want the audience or your eyes, to tell you, oh, that's the middle part of that piece of flower. And that's where adding details is really important also. And not just, pure blobs, but the blobs work for me too. Okay. The size of brush that I use, it was a number 4. Jason said more fluid. Yes, exactly. Yes, so it was a number 4 brush. Here we go. We're going to add those. I really love some of that where we drop some of the purple color. I love it so much. And even love that it didn't blend well. It just kind of added another impression, another stroke on top of the first stroke that we created for the petals. It's like that. Add more there. So this is the lily of the Nile, or African lily. So Agapanthus flower. They're almost going to be as tall as me. I'm so short. I'm like 5'1". And if they grow what they say 4 feet, oh my goodness. They'll almost be as tall as me. Again, they have it's like a bed of leaves, and the flowers, they grow up to 4 feet. So it's gorgeous. If you look at it online, Google it, you see how beautiful they are. So they will grow here in the US, in Florida, the Florida South area. And so they are dormant when it's the winter time in Florida. I told you I loved researching about it. I'm like, wow, I learned so much. All right, so I have all the details. Yes, Sam, you're correct. So they are sometimes purple, blues. They can also be white. You are correct. You know what, Judith? No one's going to say no to that. Yeah, definitely. You want, if you want to add the yellow or the orange, yes, for sure. But it might turn out to be a different flower, but they are some flowers. But they might not be the agapanthus in yellow. Thank you so much, Jason. They really do look so beautiful already. Okay, so now this part, we could just use the brush or the bullet tip itself, but I want this to be also loose because some of the dots are kind of super sharp, they're like so detailed. So I'm going to use the round brush. Again, this is a number 2, but I'm going to concentrate and use the very tip of this brush. Sometimes teaching, the tip and the pressure. So we're going to use the tip of the brush and apply very light pressure and just go. It is wet. My brush is wet, but not too wet. I'm going to use it to kind of blend and bring it down to add some. It's super wet, so I'm going to have to dry it a little bit because I can already see some of it blending more than I would like. So I'm going to use my paper towel and just kind of dab my brush this like this to take off the super extra moisture. And then I'm creating just lines. Just like that. Gonna dab again. And just add some lines. So I'm just kind of blurring some of those circles or the dots that we created. So I'm just blurring them out. And I have such heavy hands that I'm having a hard time creating lines. I'm just blurring them out. All right. You know what? I'm going to give myself grace and I'm going to allow that to happen. Like that's intentional. And sometimes that's all we can do. When I create like happy mess in my art, it's like, oop, you know what? That was intentional. I was really wanting it to do it like that. And you just have fun with it. Sometimes when you're too serious about what you're doing, you lose this, you lose the fun. It's just, why am I doing this for? To get frustrated. So you just go with the flow. So I'm just creating lines, following some of the petals, just like that. I'm not going to do it to all of them, just some of them. Yes, Judith, but they will still be beautiful, like Sam said. They will still be very gorgeous. Can you imagine the yellow or the contrast from the blue or the purple that you used? It's going to be gorgeous. I think next month we'll be painting some thistle. So it's going to be pretty. And of course, it's February. We're going to be creating a lot of Valentine themed. So we'll be creating florals. We'll have some lettering. We'll be doing some illustrations of some cute illustrations. So it's February is going to be a whole lot of fun. Wednesdays of February, spend it with us with Faber-Castell and Michael's stores. Will be great. Okay. How does yours look? I love mine. Look, turn out super pretty. Okay. I will zoom out from here. Okay, here we go. Like that. That's what it looks like. So we have 3 clusters in there. Now, again, of course, visually, we're going to pretend like it's super duper long and the bed of leaves are going to be here at the bottom. Now we're going to use some green. I'm going to use a dark phthalo like that. And I'm going to use 2 greens in here because I love that. This one is the May green. Okay, if you don't have it, if you just have the dark phthalo, that's perfectly fine also. And for this one, I'm going to use a number 6 brush. If you don't have a number 6, you can just use your number 4. So number 4 will work also. I'm going to blend the 2 greens together. So blending them. All right. We want to start first with the stem of our Agapanthus. Now I'm going to draw one straight one in the middle like this, all right, and bring it down right here. And it's going to be thinner on top, and I'm going to apply slight pressure going down to create a much thicker stroke. just like this. And I'll bring it down like that. Okay. And then from here, I will go right in the middle. And I'll crisscross and just go bring it down right there. Just like that. I feel like I'm missing something here. If I want it to come from there, I will be missing something. But if my stalk or my stem will come from here, I think it will look okay. So I'll just make it look like it's from here, right in the middle. Like that. Okay. Now this part right here, the next one, before we start adding our leaves, we're going to need a much smaller brush. So I'm going to grab my number 2. What we want is we just want to connect all the clusters that we created, right? So in between all of these, we're just going to add some lines. So I'm going to show you first like that. From here, I'm going to go here, connect that flower. And of course, look, I smeared my part right here. And I knew I was going to do that. So I'm just using the tip of the brush to add some greens in the middle. So just look like they're all connected right in the middle. Zoom that in so you guys can see there. See, all the florals are just going to be connected. Oops. So we're just adding like that. Like that. There. Rachel said, my flowers are tolerable. I think they're beautiful. Sometimes we are too hard on ourselves. So I'm going to add like this, just kind of meet in the middle. So this one, don't overthink it. When you overthink it, you're going to get frustrated. So just add some greens like that. Sometimes I overthink it too. I'm like, but there's no petal in here. You know, I just add green. It's okay. Just like that. See? There. I'm just going to add green. Yes, Ashley. We have to paint that too. So there's going to be a lot of flowers that we're going to do next. So we add the green part in the middle where they look like they're all connecting. And that as well on the sides. Like that. All right. And even though I messed up over here, it's going to be okay. No one is going to grade this like that because I did a happy accident over there. Now for the leaves in the bottom, I'm going to use the number 6 brush. And this one, again, we don't want to overthink. I'm just going to draw some leaves like this. I'm going to start with the tip of the brush, apply some pressure, and then go up like that. Now, if you have streaky, I don't know why it's not showing up. Like if you have streaky like this, that means you need a little bit more water to blend your colors. That means your brush is not wet enough. That's why you're ended with a streaky leaves. And so I'm going to go again, apply pressure, and then go and use the tip. And I love this water brush from Faber-Castell also. And I'm just going to keep doing that, okay? So you can use the number 4 like that. Just like that. So for the first layer, I'm just going to crisscross some of them. Like that. Like this. Oh, Desiree said her hands are so shaky. One thing I notice is that when I'm creating straight lines, I have learned that when the more I go slow, sometimes the more it's very shaky. So the more you practice with creating lines, try not to go slow. I mean, go medium at first and see, okay, oh, all right. Because what happens is that we don't have control. So instead of going straight, it goes, a little bit to the left or a little bit to that right, but that's how you're going to build that muscle memory. So the more you do it and let your hand sit on the desk or the paper like this, and so you have control going down. Because if you're using just the tip and you're going like this, and this one is not resting well on the paper, it's harder when you're holding your brush like this. But again, everybody's different. Maybe you're more of a tip person. I'm just going to go like this. I personally have to have my hands slightly resting on the desk or the paper, and then I can go straight when I want to. But of course, it's not perfect, but it works. All right, so the first layer is still super wet. I'm just going to dry it real quick. So my the intention here is to have two different colors of green. And so the first one is lighter, and that's our first layer. And I'm going again, go over it again. And I have the dark phthalo green, which is more of a color of our stem. Just like that. Okay, that's dry enough. Okay. Have some brush. Cecilia is asking, can I use these pens on already dry paper? I mean, wet paper. The pens, yes, you can, but depending on the paper that you're using, sometimes you're going to lose a little bit of that texture on top. And also the colors are not going to be as vibrant. And it just depends on how wet it is, I think, Cecilia. So if it's not super crazy wet, yes, you can layer it, the markers on top. But what's going to happen is the colors are also going to blend with the first layer because your paper is still wet. I hope that makes sense, my answer. The heat gun, it is from Ranger. So this one, let me see. It is from Ranger. It's the Heat It Craft Tool. I love it. It's small. It's quiet. So I got that one from Michael's too. There. I'm almost done. Foliage. So different layers of colors. And I can fix my boo-boo too. And if you want, you can add a little bit of that leaves. But in reality, they don't really have the leaves, but you know what? It looks good. So I'm going to add it. Oh my goodness. The paper and the brand. Really, honestly, I'm not a paper snob, especially when I'm using it for journaling. I've had this one for a very long time, and I can't remember where I bought it from, but it is this jumbo big mixed media paper. It says B Paper Company. I think it was a gift too, but I really love it. It's not super textured. It is not purely watercolor. It's more of a mixed media, but I can use pencil. I can use, water like this, watercolors, paintings, acrylics on top of it, gouache. And I love it. It works on both. So because it is mixed media, hello, Lay, but I love it. So yeah. And I'm just adding a little bit of details because I have a little bit more left. So I'll just add details in here. Now for the lettering, we can add, this is what I love doing in my journals. I love adding art, simple art like this, simple botanicals like this, loose florals, loose roses and all that. And then I just add, if you love adding some scriptures in your journals, I think that's going to be perfect for that. But also you can use just, positive quotes, a lot of affirmations. I love doing it like that. So I would add in like a powerful word that I'd love to see over and over again, like blessed or keep creating or you're loved. So something that's positive. So when you look at your journals, your sketchbooks, you see it and you just feel more inspired. It feels good, and it just inspires you to keep creating. So I'm going to use again the Indanthrene blue and I'm going to apply it in my palette. And I'm going to use my round brush and I'm just going to create here simple quote to end this beautiful art that we created today. And so I'm just going to add more water in here. I think I'm going to add "you are loved" because I hope you do know that you are loved always. Here we go. Now you can just use the markers directly in here. But I think I really love this watercolor look, so that's why I'm sticking with the brush. Now, if you are interested in learning brush lettering like this, we created some of our previous classes. We did a lot of lettering classes like this. You can find them on Michael's YouTube channel. And of course, also watch out for our upcoming classes. Again, next month and the next and the next and the next. There. But the key to this is kind of like what we did during our warm-ups. Light pressure for the thin strokes and then applying pressure by creating thicker strokes by applying pressure. But here it is. You are loved. Oh my goodness, it turned out so pretty. It's simple. It was easy. I mean, it's nothing like, it's not a masterpiece, but you know what? I feel like all of my creations are masterpieces. So no matter how imperfect they are, it is the process that I truly enjoy. And so creating, it gives me sanity, and it really makes me happy. It brings me joy. And you guys brought so much joy today. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for attending. It means so much to me. I enjoyed the engagement. That was super fun. I hope you will be able to join us again next week, next month, February. It's going to be super fun. Valentine's Day. Again, my name is Leibella Ralston. We thank you from Faber-Castell USA and Michael Stores. Until next time, guys, stay creative and stay happy. Bye, everyone.